It was supposed to be just another quiet Friday evening for Mark, a simple dinner at a small Italian restaurant, and maybe, if things went well, the start of something new. He had been single for a while, and tonight was his first blind date in years. He'd even ironed his shirt twice, just to make sure there were no creases, but as he sat at the corner table, checking his watch for the 5th time, a familiar sinking feeling began to creep in. His blind date was nowhere to be seen. The waiter refilled his water glass. The candle flickered. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. Mark sighed. Maybe she'd changed her mind. Maybe she'd found someone else. He was just about to pay the bill and leave when the restaurant door suddenly flew open. 2 little girls, maybe 5 or 6 years old, ran in, tears streaming down their faces, hands clutching each other tight. Their dresses were dusty, their faces pale with fear. "Please help us," one of them cried. "They hurt our mom. She's outside." Mark froze. Before we dive deeper into this emotional story, take a quick second to subscribe to Kindness Action, where we share true and inspiring stories about everyday kindness that can change lives. Don't forget to like this video if you believe in compassion, and comment below to share your thoughts or your own act of kindness. Now, let's get back to Mark's story. Mark's chair screeched against the floor as he stood up. The entire restaurant went silent. "What did you say?" he asked gently, kneeling down to the girl's level. "They hurt her," the second twin whispered, pointing toward the street. "Our mom's out there, she's not moving." Without another word, Mark rushed outside. The night air was cold, and the street was dimly lit. Just a few feet away, near the alley beside the restaurant, a woman lay on the ground. Her hair was messy, her arms scraped, and she was barely conscious. Mark knelt beside her. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" he said, shaking slightly. She stirred and mumbled something too faint to hear. Mark looked around. No one else was there. Whoever had hurt her was gone. He quickly took off his jacket and covered her with it. "Call 911, he shouted toward the waiter standing by the door. The men nodded and ran inside. The little girls clung to each other, watching in shock. Mark turned to them. "It's okay," he said softly. "She's going to be fine. You're safe now." Minutes later, sirens filled the street. The paramedics arrived, and as they worked to lift the woman onto a stretcher, one of them asked, "Are you family?" Mark hesitated. "No," he said, "I just found them." He didn't know this woman. He didn't know her name. Yet something inside him told him he couldn't leave. When the ambulance doors closed, the girls began to cry again. "Can we go with her?" one of them asked. The paramedic shook his head gently. "We'll take her to County General. The police will help you get there." Mark looked at the girls, 2 trembling, terrified little faces staring up at him. "Hey," he said softly, "I'll go with you, okay? You're not alone." At the hospital, Mark stayed by their side while the doctors treated their mom. The police took a statement, explaining that she had been attacked during a mugging on her way to meet someone. Her purse was gone. Her phone, too. It was then that Mark realized something strange. The police officer asked the woman's name when she regained consciousness, Rachel. That name made Mark freeze. His blind date's name was Rachel. He pulled out his phone and checked the dating app. The picture, the smile, it was her. The woman lying in that hospital bed, bruised and weak, was the woman who was supposed to meet him for dinner that night. He stepped closer, his heart pounding. When her eyes fluttered open, she looked confused. "Mark," she whispered. He nodded, speechless. Tears filled her eyes. "I was on my way to meet you," she said faintly. "2 men came out of nowhere. They took my bag, my phone. I tried to run, but I couldn't." Mark gently took her hand. "You're safe now," he said. "The girls are safe." 2 hours passed. The girls eventually fell asleep on the waiting room chairs, their heads resting on Mark's lap. The nurses brought them blankets. Every so often, Mark checked in on Rachel. The doctor said she'd make a full recovery. The next morning, when she was more alert, Rachel smiled weakly at him. "You didn't have to stay," she said. "Yes, I did," Mark replied. "You and your girls shouldn't have to face this alone." That simple act, staying when he didn't have to, meant everything to her. Over the next few days, Mark visited daily. He helped arrange childcare, picked up groceries, even brought the girls coloring books. What started as a missed blind date turned into a beautiful connection built on kindness and courage. When Rachel was finally discharged, she hugged him with tears in her eyes. "You were a stranger," she said softly. But you acted like family, Mark smiled. Sometimes kindness makes strangers feel like home. Months later, they all returned to that same restaurant, Rachel, her twin daughters, and Mark. The girls ran ahead, giggling, while Rachel turned to him and said, "You know, that night I thought everything was falling apart. But maybe it was actually the night everything began." Mark laughed. "Guess that blind date wasn't such a disaster after all." She smiled, and for the first time in a long time, she looked at peace. Kindness doesn't always come from grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it shows up in the middle of chaos, when a stranger chooses to stay, when someone decides to care even though they don't have to. That night, one man's compassion turned fear into safety, pain into hope, and strangers into family. So, next time you see someone in need, remember Mark's story. Don't turn away. Don't wait for someone else. Because your small act of kindness could change someone's entire life, or maybe even start a brand new story of its own. Thanks for watching Kindness Action. If this story touched your heart, subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs a little reminder that kindness still exists. Let's keep spreading love, one story at a time.